How's it going, everybody? Hope you guys are staying safe right now. I'm going to take the opportunity with my new camera and my new microphone and shoot another video and see how it goes as far as making the video. Anyways, so I have a Stonefly pattern I've been working on. I'm going to do a tutorial on how I do that pattern. So I'm going to use a size 10 Dakachi hook. It's a 1530. I'm going to put a little bit of a slight bend in it, and then as far as thread, I'm just using number 8. That's a rust brown color that I like to use for nymphs and stuff like that. I'm going to use some olive dubbing, and that's going to be my the main thorax and the abdomen, pretty much the whole body. And then I'm going to use thin brown thin skin on the back, and then also that's going to make the wing cases on the thorax. The ribbing, I'm going to use this awesome blue wire that I have. I like the blue because I think it accents it really well, especially when there's sunlight and stuff like that. A lot of times, like the shell of the nymph tends to have like a kind of like a blue hue to it. And then I'm going to use some brown neck hackle, and then my antenna and my tail is going to be made out of BWO turkey quills. So I'm actually using the biot side of it, not the quill side. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so to start off with, in order to get that rounded shape, is what I do is I take my size 10 hook and I'm just going to place a pair of hemostats probably about 1/3 of the way behind the eye of the hook, and I'm just going to give it a slight bend forward. So in the end, it'll have a little bit of a bend in it like that. The reason I do that is because, like I said, it gives it that kind of bowed look, but also it's a good way to measure, at least for me, to make sure that I don't take my abdomen all the way up into the thorax and then leave myself with no room to do all the wing cases and whatnot in the thorax. I'm gonna go ahead and tie in just below that bend, and I'm gonna take it all the way down to the bend in the hook. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and take these biots. Whenever you take these off, so they got kind of like a natural curve if you look down them, and you want to make sure to put the outside of the bend up against the shank, and that'll make it naturally kind of push outward. So go ahead and wrap in my first one. Okay, then tie in my next one. All right, and then I'm just going to do one wrap around. I've found also that if you keep the excess of the biot right here, if you keep it up on like over top of the shank, you can prevent it from spinning under. They tend to push out a little bit more and not stay streamlined. Okay, go ahead and cut off my excess. All right, so the next thing I'm going to tie in is going to be a little piece of the brown thin skin that we have here. So, and I'm going to tie this not perfectly symmetrical. I want it to be a little bit thinner at one end than the other end. So I'm going to tie that in just on top. The next piece is going to be the blue wire. Now for the blue wire, make sure you tie that against the side of the hook shank. And that's so that once we put the dubbing on and we're going to pull the thin skin over, I don't want it to be on top of where the thin skin is going to be rolled over. I want it to come out the side, so when I wrap it for the rib, it works nicely. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and work in a bunch of dubbing. And one thing that took me a while to learn is that you don't need a ton of dubbing. If you spin your dubbing and you have so much that it's really bulky, then it tends to make the body that you're working seem a little bit more uneven. So I like to go a little bit lighter on the dubbing and just do multiple wraps, so I have a little bit more control over the thickness of the body. Next thing is we're gonna go ahead and pull over that thin skin. Pull it over, give it a good wrap, pull the skin a little tight underneath the thread before it tightens up, just to make sure you have it nice and tight. Build a little head in front of that wrap. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and do my wire wraps. I want to make sure and pull these nice and tight so it really gets that rib pattern on there. And I think I had a little bit too much wire here, so hopefully I can keep it nice and even. I'm gonna go ahead and tie that off. Lock it in with one in front and one behind. Trim my excess. All right, so that's the abdomen. Now for the thorax, now I'm going to take the hackle and tie that in, and I'm going to do 3 wraps with the hackle just in front of where I ended the thin skin. This doesn't need to be really all that perfect, I don't think, because I'm going to end up kind of pulling all the hackle back and then tying it down afterwards. But it does, I do think it helps if you kind of stroke the hackle back every time you wrap it around. And I'm going to do 3 wraps. That's just what I think I've found to be sufficient. And I'm going to go ahead and tie it off. And then cut the excess. Okay, now I'm going to go and take a little bit of dubbing, and I just want to do 1 small loop of dubbing. That might be a little much. And as I was wrapping that, I'm kind of pushing the hackle backwards. So I want it to be facing backwards, and I'm just going to take my scissors here and separate the fibers on top. Now with this thin skin is what I'm doing. I don't know if you really could see that. Well, I'll do it again. So I'm going to take, you can take your scissors essentially and put them down and just pull it over so that it keeps a little loop in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and tie that down. And I'm going to pull the thin skin back a little bit just to make sure it's tight. Okay. Now I'm going to do that process all over again. Okay, so like I said, I put the dubbing in, fold the skin over, pull it tight, and now my final, you're going to do it one more time, so it's 3 total. So there's 3 sections to the thorax for the stonefly. When you get all these fibers up here like this, obviously that's not ideal. So one way you can kind of correct that is just stroke them all back and kind of tie them down. Like I said, in this particular case, they don't need to be perfectly, excuse me, they don't need to be like perfectly up and down. So, all right, now the one difference here with this last wrap is before I put my my dubbing on, I'm going to put on the front end antenna. So with those antennae, I'm going to use 2 more pieces of the turkey biot. All right, then the last piece is just to add a little dubbing. And any leftover hackle fibers, if you can pull those back, that works good. And then you just pull over your last little piece of thin skin. It's fighting me a little bit. There we go. Pull that last little piece, and then I just happened to make this pretty much just long enough to where it's the length that I wanted. So that worked out well. But I'm gonna go ahead and just make my head and finish my fly. Well, anyways, that pretty much concludes my video. Sorry about my voice with COVID and all that kind of stuff going around. Definitely got some sort of crud, but I'm all recovered from it, so hopefully I can get out fishing soon and take advantage of some of this quarantine time. But anyways, on top of that, I got a new camera and some new mics and stuff like that, so I hope this drastically improves my video quality, and I hope you guys like it. If you do, please hit like and subscribe. That helps me out, and also it justifies me spending some of this money to my wife, so it's always a good thing. Appreciate it, guys.